Okay, thanks for coming to my speak. Hope I can share something that I learned from practice to be helpful for the projects that are looking to do ICOs and or some investors like Neojo in the space looking at ICO projects. Before my talk, I have a brief introduction myself. I'm a founding partner at Coefficient Ventures, Chance Du. Is my kind of bio, we're investor of Filecoin, Radar Network, OpenZippling, 0x, Sounder Token. I think people that are involved in this space a long longer time probably know those projects. I personally also joined 3 projects as a advisory board. The first, as Tomo Chen, I'm the first investor and advisor for TomoCoin, founded by the previous founder of LEM. NEM, and which right now is top 15 cryptocurrency in the core market cap. And also I'm helping Filecoin to expand to their Asian market, helping them collect with the miners and the communities and developers involved and engaged with Filecoin. And also, I joined cryptocurrency space since 2017 January. So I have 1 year and 3 months experience, very deep experience in the space. Before that, I was an angel investor in AI machine learning, and before that, I was started a company back in 2011 in China and get acquired in 2015. Coefficient is a crypto fund that we only invest in blockchain. We invest in 80% in tokens and 20% in equity. Those are parts of our portfolios. We have invested in 25 token projects so far. There's more and more, a few equity projects portfolio coming in this month. Also, we're launching an incubator called Coefficient X. We're choosing less than 10 projects per year to deeply involve and help and advising the connect with best resources and also investing in those portfolios. Okay, so today my topic is about how crypto funds look at ICO projects and like what's the most important facts that they're looking at for projects. Also, I will tell you what's the best strategy to raise funding in this bear market in right now. Okay, so the first thing I will talk about is the infrastructure application. This is actually a big difference in terms of different funds. We have, in crypto funds, we have also traditional venture funds that invest in the tokens. So basically they have different thesis, depends on, which their LPs or the fund managers. So some funds are focused on infrastructure because they think right now is the best timing for infrastructure projects. But some funds that will be more brave to look at the application level projects, especially for venture funds that break into the blockchain space because they don't have a lot of industry resources. They know the industry very well, so they're looking more actively in the application levels. So regarding, I actually today in this morning, a lot of people talk to me. Probably 90% are application level projects. Either like the existing established company, they're looking to raise money through ICOs. So basically they think maybe in blockchain, we plus some blockchain things there, and it's better or either to raise money. So they're looking to tokenize or maybe apply blockchain technology in their existing startup. Those we looking at as application level projects. And a other kind of application level projects, we will say it's like a blockchain application. What it means is it never existed before. Those model like a prediction market, like Augur. So the blockchain technology empower those kind of application possible and have those kind of applications. And also like Steemit is a content ecosystem compared with media. So it's like a blogger, a new kind of blogger. You basically write your content and you get your token and or rewards. It's kind of like use token to incentive those content creators. So it's born as a blockchain application. So I think I treat that application is different from using the existing business to apply blockchain technology. So our fund, Coefficient, we're more focused on the infrastructure projects in blockchain ecosystem from now. But I think this space is changing very fast. So like last year, September, actually we only look at infrastructures. But when one day in October, I saw the people starting to using the Streamlit very seriously. I started to looking at application level in very blockchain applications. That's why we invested in a project called Tari, which they built a new digital assets protocols. Also, they're gonna build the first step on top of it. That's why we made this first investments that in application level blockchain ecosystem. Okay, so if you're doing a ICO, you can define yourself. Why that matters to your ICO? Because you want to talk with the right investors, right funds. If you're application level project, you're talking with the funds that only look at infrastructure, probably it's not gonna work out. But it's good. It's always good that you could try. And also I think why people think right now is the right timing for infrastructure. As you can see right now, even the top one public chain Ethereum is get stuck just because one DApp, which is CryptoKitty, that makes it impossible to run top of a lot of big business. So that we can see that now the whole industry, we need the scalability solutions. We also need the security, make this whole network more secure, more decentralized. So that's why right now we think from now on to maybe 1 or 2 years, I think it's the right timing for building the infrastructure for blockchain. But I definitely recommend all the people starting to look at space seriously and to prepare. Like before, when I all in blockchain create this crypto fund, actually I spent almost 1 year to deep learn and be prepared, understand it first, and launch this token fund. I think if you just know this space for 3 or 2 months, I don't think you can come up with some very great idea that could make your SEOs very successful. Be prepared and understand the pinpoint of this industry. There's tons of opportunities in this industry, either in infrastructure or in application. Even you really want to do an application with your own existing business, then you also have to understand deeply why you need blockchain. If you didn't understand deeply, I don't think you can for your investors. Especially great investors. Okay, that's why I think that's very important to all the people know how we look at. But definitely today's point just represent my point of view, not represent every funds. So the first one is so I took this the first thing because I think that means timing. What is the right timing? So I think for venture capital investing or crypto fund investing, blockchain investing actually is the same. Timing is the most important thing, I think. Like Facebook is not coming from the early when like it's not like MySpace is earlier than Facebook, but Facebook become the first top social media. So that's just because that our timing, the infrastructure is ready, and the mass adoption, the potential is ready. So there's that app that coming out that timing, then it's grows very fast. And the second I want to mention is the team still matters. No matter which sector you are in, either you are in AI, artificial intelligence, or blockchain, all the sectors, that team still matters. I think that's also, except the timing, our Coefficient and myself do investments, I'm very focused on the team members. If you are infrastructure blockchain projects, if your team member don't have very strong blockchain developers or have people involved in the space few years, long time, I don't think you can come up with a very good infrastructure idea, or you have the ability to create that. So we're always looking at team members who are different, go through all the backgrounds, how and when they involved in the blockchain industry, and what he has done so far. So we're specifically looking for people that involved some projects before, that is very good projects. Also, I think a lot of thing is about the team, how many engineers this team have. Because if you don't have technical people or developers, I cannot help you. I cannot help you, recruiting or help you in code. But for us, where we have a whole industry and global resources, we can help you in terms of business side, operation side, give you the best resource partnerships, investors, relations, all this stuff. But I cannot give you the developers. So that's why I mentioned here, for the team blockchain projects, I look at the operation team is a plus. If you're a team that have a strong operations background, it's a plus. But if you don't have, we're still gonna look at you and have the potential view. When we invest in TomoCoin, their team have no business people, but we are good at it. So we give them all the resources, but they have 800 engineer back in the 90s to join that team. So we're very excited. That's why we make this early investments. Okay, let's. The hard cap matters. So ICOs the past year in the bond market, that's the craziest year, I think. The Filecoin raised 257 million, and definitely we'll have Tezos raised 230 million. Those big projects turns out the giants blockchain projects in this space. But I think they raise that money, they have their foundations to raise those money. You cannot look at, okay, they raise like 200 million, then I will want to raise 200 million. So Tezos and Filecoin, they're in the space for about 3 and 4 years. They build a protocol and have a very strong team and very innovative ideas in this space that give them foundations to convince the investors. And also definitely they born in they catch up a very good timing, which is a bull market. It's just the craziest timing last year in July or August that make it happen. If you look at right now, not much projects looking to raise such a big amount of money, except I think Telegram. They raised 800 million, but they also have 200 million users. So I didn't say that big cap is not bad, but when you want to raise a big cap, you want to look at yourself. Does your team strong enough to have that cap? Do you actually lead that money? We can tell that as for Tezos or Filecoin, they are very fundamental infrastructures. You need a lot of big funds to build the whole ecosystem. That's why they need these big funds. But if you're just applications or solve specific problems, I don't think you need that amount of money. Okay, so this industry actually, the last year, a lot of people, investors, worry about the hypes. They think it's a bubble, right? You raised 200 million within a few minutes. That's gonna crash. I said to them, don't worry, the market gonna correct itself. It's very quickly. So start from October because of China ban. So the whole market kind of crashed a little bit, and the hard cap immediately down a lot. So most ICOs actually raised around 30 million to 40 million from last year October to this year February. So the cap that really above 40 million. We will take a look. If the team is very strong, we will take a look. But if it's not, we're gonna immediately pass it because just no reason you need that money. So I think, but now the market is even like a bit like bad than before. So yeah, still we have like Telegram raised 800 million, but they do have really strong user base, and also all the crypto people use Telegram. That's why they can have this chance to raise this massive round. I will talk about this projects we invest as an example. So they build the infrastructure. Basically, is a public chain, and the founder have a very good tractions. But he only raised 8.5 million in last year. He started raising ICO last year. It turns out a big success, but big even in the bear market, because he raised a very reasonable amount of money, and to build a solve a biggest problem, which is scalability for Ethereum. So this year, I recommend projects that set up a cap around 10 million, maybe or less. But if you really need more, if you could convince people, then you can set up more. But I definitely think this year the investors, the funds, gonna more favor the lower cap projects. First of all, you really don't need that money to prove because a lot of projects just have team, they don't have demo, they don't have testnet. You basically just need a few million to survive 1 or 2 years to prove people you actually could deliver. For traditional venture capital perspective, for a typical seed round is like 2 million. I think that's enough. But in this space, you need to spend a lot of legal stuff. I think it's good to a little bit higher than the traditional seed round. So the timing, the team, the hard cap, the terms. So that's the third thing that people are looking at. I think all the things that apply to all the ICO projects, not just for infrastructures. Even we're only like maybe focused on the infrastructure, but I think all these things apply to all the ICO projects. The fourth thing is the lockup. So every ICO projects, you have to set up your lockup period. Are you gonna lock up tokens, or you gonna have vesting schedules? It depends on the project itself. Also, it depends on the jurisdiction of the compliance issues. But I would say in investor perspective, for crypto funds or crypto investors specifically, they're looking to maybe take their principal out if possible. So I think it could unlock part of them at the beginning, but you can lock off some part of it. And also some projects is really confident by their projects, so they unlock all of them, like Tomocoin. They didn't lock us anything, but we kept it and hold it because we truly believe this thing. Because I think why lockup is very important for crypto investors, because compete with the traditional equity investments. Crypto fund actually, the killer feature is the liquidity. Think about the equity. Actually, you usually have to wait for 7 years in order to exit. But tokens, it will take you like few months or 1 year, 2 years to exit. So if you lock investors like 4 or 5 years, they will think it makes no sense to do a token. Why not just equity? So I think since we're doing ICO or token projects, we definitely have to give this investor some upside of the structure. But also, I also think it's good to have a good locking period to attract those long-term investors to involved in your project. It's also good. Okay, so those 4 basically are 4 important things that we're looking at ICO projects, no matter what kind of projects you are. For a lot of people here, I think more application projects, I think one thing that we're looking at is also the traction. Since you're applications, so you cannot just convince me based on your team, because I need to see the deliver. It's more like traditional startups. If you want to build something that is blockchain, make it more efficient, you have to get your test users, like a lot for early adopters use it and prove this traction. I think that's much stronger to convince investors. And you have team that really understand blockchain well, that also team members that really understand the industry well, that make it possible to you actually could build a good application for blockchain. So next thing I want to talk about in this year, what's the trend of token investing and what we should take look at in this space. So I think in this whole year, because of the market's downside, and so I think the quality of this the project this year is gonna increase a lot, because right now we can tell that a lot of projects actually a little bit harder for them to raise money. Even like 2 or 3 months ago, even for application projects, it's very easy to raise money. If they do ICO, public, they have good marketing strategy, build a very good large Telegram community groups. They could raise 20 or 30 million very easily. I mean, it's in a bull market last year, but now it's in a bear market. Then I think it's gonna make it much harder for those projects to raise money. So, but still, the good projects could successfully raise money. But I think you really need to think through your whole structure. So I think this year, the whole picture of the quality of projects is gonna increase. Okay, second, I think this year, more and more traditional VCs gonna join this race to look at blockchain space. I recommend application projects, talk with those VCs that looking at blockchains, maybe SaaS, focused VCs. Then if you're a SaaS company doing application of a blockchain project, I think it's very ideal to talk with them because they understand industry very well. Also, they're looking at blockchain. So I think it's a very good match for you guys to talk about. So I think in this year, I think China is always move a little bit ahead of the Valley. In China, almost, I think probably 70% of VCs join blockchain ICO investing now. They create a WeChat group, like thousands of WeChat group within 1 week. Let's exchange ideas, we investing in tokens. They're very eager to learn. I think that's gonna have similar happen in the worldwide too, in the Valley, in the Europe, in the Asian other part as well. The third is, I think, another very important thing for token project is you need to get your token listed. If your token don't have liquidity, it's gonna have huge problems. So exchanges is always the most important thing for your projects. But I really don't like how it works right now, the exchanges. They charge projects millions just to get listed. I really don't think that's the future of the blockchain. So we will see actually this year, start with few exchanges, the decentralized exchange is coming. Or exchange like decentralized exchange called IDEX, I'm using a lot. It's very interesting to see actually they have a lot of coin value, the trading value is larger than the centralized exchange now. So we can see decentralized exchange is coming. So for you guys don't know what is decentralized exchange, so basically you trade within your own wallet, and your token get listed without any fee. They can list every tokens, and so they will not have a thing that charge you tons of money to get listed. So I think if the blockchain really gonna reinvent the whole internet, then we need those such stuff that get listed a whole bunch of the thousands, hundreds, thousands tokens come out every day. Then which token's gonna survive? It's gonna be who deliver the best product. So I think don't worry about the exchange issues. If you're doing your tokens, that is hard to get into centralized exchange. I think decentralized exchange is still working. It is also working, so don't afraid of that. The fourth trend in this year, I could say, is like more and more mainstream tenants starting to join this blockchain waves. I saw a lot of people like from major tech companies. They have very higher position, maybe VP of engineer. They're starting to join this revolution, starting to build amazing projects. So I still think right now we're in very early stage of blockchain. I'm glad that all you guys starting to look at space seriously and starting to do something here. What I mentioned before that we're looking at mostly in infrastructure, just for now, we didn't set up our strategy for a long time. I think this space can change within 6 months. Things could change very fast. So just be prepared, be ready when that comes to you. So I think those are 4 things I think I want to mention in this talk. And I think a lot of things that I want to mention is I think a lot of people, maybe right now you guys have a existing business, but you saw this big technology waves. You're thinking about what I'm going to do with this. A lot of people were the 2 ways. One, you're going to apply blockchain to your existing projects. Second, forget about the first one. You'll either stop it or sell it. And totally to, new to learn this whole blockchain and found the problems exist in this industry and come up with ideas that could solve real problems in industry, then that also works. So depends on your stage. You can think either way. Like the project I'm looking at actually today is a Y Combinator new project called BIN. I look at the founder's background, actually don't have much blockchain experience. They're also a traditional software startup, I think, before. But I think they learned this industry very well. They come up with this like a mobile app that you could trade your tokens and integrate with the AI bots that could answer questions through this trading mobile app. That's really, really amazing. Because for those people that have a lot of startups, software building experience, you actually understand how to build a great product or user experience. That's actually a lot of great blockchain projects don't have right now. So if you are deep into this industry for a few months, you find this big problem in this industry and have to solve it and use your past experience in software development or product building. I think that also could work out. The way that you totally forget about what you do right now, but you really want to join this blockchain wave, then you go to learn and very deeply understand it. And then that also could come up with very great idea and great projects. So I think blockchain is really democratized technology wave that everybody actually could join and think about how I can contribute or benefit from this technology wave. Thank you. This is my speech. I'm open to some questions from audience. Any questions?
Hi, everyone. I'm Elimar with SeattleBitcoin.com. We're an educational platform based in Seattle. And I have heard your talking about investing and all this, but what are we doing for the ecosystem for education, because this is key for adoption? Are you interested in, have you been invested in a project like where it's dedicated for education, for the regular person to know how to download a wallet, what a blockchain is, how do I start in this and being part of this crypto world?
Yeah, actually, blockchain education actually is one of the most important direction we're looking at, because especially for developer education. So for right now, the whole industry needs developers. All the projects, they need to hire developers, but there is a very giant gap with those tenants, because the mainstream like Google or Facebook or Uber, those engineers still kind of very slow to move into space. So it's still very hard, even for Filecoin, those like massive funded startup and very, all-star teams. Even for them, it's very hard for them to hire a very good engineer. So if you're building a blockchain and online education platform that focus on education and new developers is gonna be amazing. Actually, we're specifically looking at those kind of projects to fund them because it's just so important to this whole ecosystem.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have questions. You mentioned about China. China has a big market for Bitcoin mining and also for the ICO funding. But then, just like if you read the news, just last year, China has banned on the Bitcoin and also has freezed the ICOs. I mean, like 60 listing, for the ICOs are under investigation. And even Singapore has also voiced their concerns about of the list of the ICOs, which is related to some, illegal activities, or because of it's raising a large money in a short time, and also they were skeptical, and also, well, the authorities are also concerned about the money laundering activities. So what are your viewpoints about this?
Okay, so first of all, China didn't ban Bitcoin. They just banned the issue public ICOs for public. So also, they actually very incentive the technology building behind blockchain. But definitely, we see a massive moving out of China, of the Chinese projects. Chinese blockchain entrepreneurs moving out everywhere. They come to US, they come to Japan, they go to Europe. Actually, for me, it's a good thing, actually, for Chinese entrepreneurs. Because before, for the traditional internet entrepreneurship, they only need to focus on China markets and they can successful. But right now, they force them have to move overseas. So actually, it's good for Chinese entrepreneurs to go to global and join this global competition of blockchain. And I personally think if China didn't deal with correctly in this wave, I think it's gonna lose a lot of big opportunity next decades. We still see the Silicon Valley still kind of attract the best talent in the blockchain space. But also, I thought the decentralization of this whole industry, actually, a lot of people, they just go to everywhere globally, like distributed teams. It's very common for blockchain projects to actually have a distributed teams over the world. So it's okay for remote work in this new kind of startup thing. So I definitely think that's not a big issue for one country to ban this. It cannot stop this revolution. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's give a round of applause. Thank you.